You. Mr. Masseri, I'm looking at this from a perspective of parents, and I guess I'll talk to parents, since so many of them have told me that they have done everything they can to try to get their kids off your product, kids who are addicted at age 10. And they are scared for their kids. They want their kids to do their homework and not get addicted to Instagram. And yet we then find out that what your company did was to increase your marketing budget to try to woo more teens, from $67 million in 2018 to $390 million focused on kids this year. And so when I hear you're going to suddenly, with all your technological wizards, develop some kind of new way to check to see if really young kids are on there, you could have been spending this money, $390 million, to do that for years. You have the money to do it. I think that we are in diametrically opposed goals, the goals of parents out there and the goals of your company. Our kids aren't cash cows. And that is exactly what's been going on. Because when you look at the marketing budget and you look at what your companies has done, it's to try to get more and more of them on board. And when I look at your company's quotes from one document, you, not you personally, but your company viewed losing teen users as a, quote, existential threat, whereas parents are viewing their kids' addictions to your product and other products as an existential threat to their families. So my first question is that in fact the truth that you've been increasing money, advertising money, to woo more teen kids onto your platform?
Senator, no, I don't believe those statistics are correct. We increased our overall marketing budget between last year and this year, but it was not, I think you characterized it as the majority of it was focused on teens, and that's not true.
Okay, so do you view the kids as a feeder way for people to get into your product? Have you not done things to get more teenagers interested in your product? Are you not worried about losing them to other platforms? You better tell the truth. You're under oath.
Absolutely, Senator. Senator, we try and make Instagram as relevant as possible for people of all ages, including teens. Teens do amazing things on Instagram every day, but we also invest, I believe, more than anyone else in keeping people, including teens, safe. We will spend around $5 billion this year alone, and we have over 40,000 people working on safety and integrity at the company.
And do you think 3 hours a day is an appropriate amount of time for kids to spend on Instagram?
Senator,
I'm asking this because just when you put out those new rules, that was an option for parents. 3 hours a day. Is that a good use of kids' time?
Senator, I appreciate the question.
And it was in your safety tools that you just put out there. The first option given to kids, to parents, was 3 hours a day.
Senator.
I have them. Can I put them on the record?
Sorry,
Mr. Chair, thank you.
If I may, Senator, I'm a parent, and I can understand that parents have concerns about how much screen time their kids have. I think every parent feels that way. I ultimately think that a parent knows best what's best for their teen, so the appropriate amount of time should be a decision by a parent about the specific teen. If one parent wants to set that limit at 10 minutes and another parent wants to set that limit at 3 hours, who am I to say that they don't know what's best for their children?
And do you believe your company has invested enough in identifying that young children are not on the platform when you know that they're not supposed to be on there, and making sure you're registering and using all your technology not to just increase your profits, but to make sure the kids aren't on there? Do you think you've done enough?
Senator, two things. One, yes, I believe that we've invested more than anyone else, but I also believe that it's still a very challenging industry-wide issue. I think there's a number of things that we can do at the industry level to better verify age. Specifically, I believe it would be much more effective to have age verification at the device level, have a parent who gives their 14-year-old a device, tell the phone that their child is 14, as opposed to having every app, and there's millions of apps out there, trying to verify age on their own. That should happen at the device level. We understand that might not happen, or that might take time, and in the meantime, we're going to invest heavily in getting more sophisticated in how we identify the age of people under the age of 18.
And is it true that someone in your company said that it was an existential threat if you lost teen users?
Senator, I don't,
Is that true or not? Because we have a document that said that.
Senator, I assume that's true.
Okay? So you understand what we're thinking up here when it's our job to protect kids, and we have parent after parent calling our office, emailing us. One of the parents likened to me that it was like a water faucet going off and it was overflowing, and she's sitting there with a mop trying to figure out how to use all of the tools you give them that she can't figure out how to use. So I think at some point the accountability is on you guys. And that means everything from the privacy bills to expanding the child protections online to the competition policy. Because maybe if we had actual competition in this country instead of Meta owning you and owning most of the platforms and most of the back and forth for kids, maybe we could have another platform developed that would have the privacy protections that you have not been able to develop in terms of keeping teens off your platform that aren't even old enough to be on there. So that's what I think, some food for thought for all of you, is the opposition to some of the competition policy, capitalism, pro-capitalism ideas that we have over in judiciary. And I'll hand it back to our chair.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Thanks for your work, your leadership on this issue here and on the Judiciary Committee, where we're on the subcommittee on antitrust, which you chair. I will ask a couple of questions because we have a vote ongoing, so a number of my colleagues will be returning from the floor. You know, your suggestion for tech companies to earn Section 230 protection has a certain appeal to me, since I'm the author of the Earn It Act along with Senator Graham. It's also the concept that underlies other proposals that we've made, but that's not government regulation. So the question is, will you support the UK's children's code that Instagram has to obey in the UK? Shouldn't kids in the United States have protection as good as the kids in UK enjoy?
Absolutely, Senator. A few quick things. One is, I believe that is the age-appropriate design. I'm forgetting the last letter of the acronym. And I believe it's something that we support, and we support safety standards for kids everywhere, including here in the US. I'd also, if you would indulge me for a minute, like to clarify that my proposal is, yes, an industry body that sets standards for youth safety with input from civil society, from policymakers, and from parents, but one that once those standards are proposed, they would be approved by policymakers like yourself. And I also believe that policymakers or regulators should make the decision of whether or not any individual company, like mine, is adhering to those standards. So it's not simply
And
self-regulation.
then enforce them, bring lawsuits, seek damages?
Senator, we believe that a strong incentive would be to tie some of the Section 230 protections to adherence, and that could be a decision by regulators.
So would the Attorney General of the United States or the Attorney General of a state like Connecticut, where I was Attorney General, have the power to enforce those standards?
Senator, we believe in enforcement. Specifically, how to implement that enforcement is something that we would like to work with your office on and other offices as well.
Well, that's a simple yes or no. Enforceability has to be part of your proposal.
Senator, I agree. Enforceability is incredibly important. Without enforcement, it's just words.
So you think that the Attorney General of the United States could enforce those standards, which means they would be written in the statute?
Senator, I don't know, because I'm not a legal expert, if the best way to enforce it would be with the Attorney General. But in general, I think it should happen at the federal level. And it's something that I'd be happy to have my team work
Would
with you.
you
as well.
favor private rights of action, so individuals who are harmed could bring an action against Meta?
Senator, I believe that it's important that companies like ours are held accountable to high standards. But I believe the most important way or the most effective way of doing so is to define industry standards and best practices at the federal level, ideally, and to seek enforcement as you suggest.
These are really yes or no questions. They're pretty clear, and I know you are knowledgeable about them. So I hope you will answer them more clearly in the answers that you provide in writing. I'm going to yield
Yeah.
to
I
Senator
just, and I
Klobuchar.
can do this on the record, but I did want to, since you denied this idea that the marketing budget went from 67 million to 390 million, and that much of the budget was allocated to wooing teens. That was reported on by the New York Times from internal documents from your company. So do you still deny that this is the fact?
Senator, occasionally there are reports that are inaccurate. In this case, I believe that report or that article said that the majority of our budget was focused on teens, and I know for a fact that that was not the case.
Much of the budget, is that accurate?
Senator, I don't remember off the
Then
top of my
could you
head.
give me the number of what percentage of the budget was focused on teens? You must, as a business, be able to break it down that way. So that would be helpful. I'll
Senator,
ask that in writing.
I'd be happy to follow up with you on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Senator Markey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to your leadership, Mr. Chairman, we